The initial indication came in the form of a notification on his locked screen, just a glimpse of text as his phone illuminated while he showered. Can't wait for Friday at the beach house. Bought that red lingerie you. The rest faded away, concealed by Apple's privacy measures. It's almost cruel how the universe works, teasing you with enough details to unravel your world yet withholding the full story. I am Kimberly, the woman who found herself frozen with a toothbrush in hand, gazing at her husband's phone on an ordinary Thursday morning in April. In that instant, 13 years of marriage seemed to vanish within the steam of this shower. Everything became clear. The late work nights, the sudden password changes, the untraceable weekend conferences, his avoidance of eye contact during intimacy, and the new critical remarks about my appearance after years of silence. I didn't need to touch his phone. Something within me already knew. After months of contemplation and inner turmoil, today marked a pivotal moment as I finally embraced the truth I had long suspected. Despite the heaviness of this realization, I carried on my morning routine with unwavering resolve. Methodically, I went about my tasks, from rinsing my mouth to applying makeup with precision, as if on autopilot. Little did the external world know that this day signified the start of a new chapter in my life. It was on this ordinary yet extraordinary day that I boldly faced the harsh reality that the man I once adored, Thomas, my college sweetheart and life partner, was involved with another woman and making plans with her for a visit to our cherished beach house. The very same place that held poignant memories of our past loss. As I am not one to seek revenge by nature, being a seasoned corporate lawyer skilled in strategic thinking, a daring plan took shape that evening. While Thomas slept peacefully after his customary squash games and bourbons, I took a decisive step. Using his fingerprint to access his phone, I ventured into an unknown world that shattered my preconceived notions. It was not really an affair that I uncovered, but an entire secret life. Her name was Sophia, not the carefree young woman I had imagined her to be. 3 hours later, my phone rang. Is this some kind of sick joke? His voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the tremor. I wish it were, I replied. They're planning to meet at our beach house this Friday. The silence stretched between us, two strangers united by betrayal. What do you want to do about it? He finally asked. That's when the idea crystallized. Perfect in its simplicity, devastating in its potential. How do you feel about surprising them? I asked, a strange calm settling over me. I have keys. We could be there waiting. His laugh was hollow. That's either the craziest or most brilliant thing I've ever heard. Sometimes they're the same thing, I said. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop the next day to compare notes and finalize our plan. I remember sitting across from him, studying his face for the first time. He had kind eyes, sad eyes now. Betrayal had aged him overnight, just as it had me. They'll arrive around 7, I explained, sliding my coffee between. After Thomas informed me that he was attending a medical conference in Boston, Sophia mentioned that he claimed to be at Chicago for sales training. Alex's expression twisted with disbelief. Reflecting on our 8 years of marriage, I realized I had never bothered to fact-check anything. Don't blame yourself, I reassured him. Trust is the foundation of marriage, not ignorance. We didn't confront them in a chaotic manner. Instead, we meticulously planned our strategy for 2 hours, aiming for a precise and impactful reveal. The cheaters anticipated a romantic getaway, but little did they know they were walking into a confrontation. As we prepared to act, Alex hesitated, questioning the morality of our actions. I'm not sure if it's right, I confessed, but it's necessary for us to move forward, however uncertain the path may be. He nodded in understanding. That evening, Thomas bid me farewell with a kiss, suitcase in hand. I'll call you once I land in Boston, he promised. I smiled, safe travels, honey. I love you. The dishonesty lingered bitterly in my mouth as I watched him leave. The following Friday dawned with clear skies, tauntingly perfect for a beach day. I gave work a call to say I was sick for the first time in 3 years. After packing an overnight bag, I informed my assistant that I needed a mental health day. Little did she know, as I made my way to our beach house in the Hamptons, a usually tranquil drive. Every mile felt like a countdown to a difficult conversation. Despite rehearsing possible scenarios in my head, nothing seemed sufficient to address the immense betrayal I was about to confront. Alex and I had planned to meet at a diner near the beach house at 2:00 p.m. well in advance of the expected arrival of our partners at 7:00 p.m. upon arriving. I found Alex already seated at the booth, staring out the window while sipping on a cup of coffee. I couldn't help but ask, any second thoughts? As I slid into my seat, Alex confessed to having a million doubts, but he decided to stay nonetheless. Initially awkward, we navigated the uncharted territory of planning to confront our spouse's affair together. However, our shared turmoil led us to form a unique connection. Amidst uneaten club sandwiches, we delved beyond the affair to discover the genuine individuals buried beneath the layers of pain. Alex's story unfolded before me, revealing a tale. Looking for an architect who had paused his career to support Sophia's goals, he shared with me how he meticulously designed our home, tailoring every detail for our envisioned future family. A family that she no longer seemed to want with me. I confided in him the difficulties Thomas and I had faced while trying for a baby, how the miscarriage had deeply affected him, causing him to shut down emotionally. I had believed we were healing together, only to realize he was healing with someone else. "You deserve better, Alex," he said, locking knives with me. "Oh, did you?" As we settled the bill, a strange bond had begun to form between us, two individuals navigating a path neither of us had chosen. At the beach house, we'd officially moved about, with me giving Alex a tour while trying to push aside the memories that lingered in every corner. "It will most likely head to the master bedroom," I said dispassionately, pretending we were discussing a real estate showing. "Shall we wait there?" he inquired. After a moment's thought, I suggested the living room instead. Better lighting, multiple exits, and less of an intimate setting. Like seasoned stage directors, we choreographed the scene, positioning two chairs. Seeing the entrance, set a bottle of Thomas's favorite scotch on the coffee table with four glasses. A theatrical touch, but psychological warfare requires props. While we waited, I wandered to the deck overlooking the ocean. The waves crashed relentlessly, nature indifferent to human drama. Alex joined me, his presence oddly comforting. "What did you first suspect?" he asked. "There were 1,000 little things," I said, from perfume on his collar. Once he claimed it was from hugging a colleague goodbye. Late night texts he'd shield from my view, but mostly it was how he stopped seeing me, really seeing me. Alex nodded. Sophia started picking fights, creating distance to justify what she was doing. The classic cheater's playbook, I agreed. Demonize your partner to rationalize your betrayal. We shared stories as the sun began its descent. How Thomas and I met in law school, how Alex proposed to Sophia in Paris, the lives we thought we were building, the future now shattered. "What will you do?" Alex asked. "Divorce." "I don't know," I confessed. "There's a part of me that wants to destroy everything, while another part recalls the man I married." I looked at him. "You, I still love," he said simply. "But I'll never trust her again." What is a marriage without trust? Our conversation was interrupted by a notification from my security system. Car approaching. My stomach sank. The early, I breathed, glancing at my watch. It was 6:15 p.m. Hastily, we hurried inside, taking our positions like actors who hadn't prepared enough. The sound of joyful laughter drifted up the path, carefree, intimate laughter that pierced my heart. A key turned in the lock, and the door swung open. Thomas walked in first, carrying 2 overnight bags and a bottle of champagne. Sophia followed with a grocery bag and flowers. They were so engrossed in each other that they didn't notice us at first. "Baby, where should I put?" Thomas started, then stopped abruptly as his eyes met mine. The champagne bottle slipped from his hand and crashed to the floor. Sophia gasped, her hand flying to her mouth, flowers scattering from her grip. 2 marriages, 2 people. A moment of shocking revelation. "Welcome to our beach house," I said calmly, though my voice felt strained. Alex and I decided to join the party. Thomas went pale, and Sophia started to tremble. "Kim, I can explain," Thomas began. "Can you really?" I interrupted, tilting my head. "I am quite curious to hear your justification for the presence of your pharmaceutical representative in our beach house, the very place where we experienced a devastating loss." Sophia turned to Alex, tears flowing freely. "Alex, this isn't..." He cut her off abruptly. "Just stop. We've seen the messages, all of them." The room filled with a heavy tension, making it hard to breathe. 7 months, I stated, surveying the scene. 7 months of deceit. Did you find it amusing how easily we were deceived? Thomas attempted to defend himself, moving closer. "It wasn't like that," he pleaded. "Then how was it?" Alex demanded, rising to his feet. "Explain it to us. We have the entire weekend." Sophia then collapsed, sinking to the floor amid scattered flowers and shattered glass. Through tears, she apologized. "I'm so sorry, Tom." As he sat there frozen, a whirlwind of emotions played out on his face. "Kimberly, let's talk in private," I stated firmly, putting an end to any secrecy or closed-door discussions. Whatever needed to be said could be said in front of everyone. Thus began the most agonizing 2 hours of my life. Little did they know, this confrontation had been orchestrated with meticulous planning. Alex and I had not just stumbled into this confrontation. We had orchestrated it. While they struggled through explanations and tearful apologies, I remained composed, allowing the weight of their betrayal to linger in the air. Thomas kept looking at me with bewilderment. He had anticipated outbursts of anger or hysteria, but not this chilling control. Unbeknownst to him, I had spent the previous day gathering evidence. I had forwarded their entire text conversations to my secure email. I had taken photographs of credit card statements displaying dinners, hotel stays, and gifts, all cleverly disguised as business expenses. I had even recorded a conversation with Thomas. The assistant inadvertently revealed that he had not been booked for a Boston conference. After the initial surprise faded, I suggested that we all sit down and have a discussion. The four of us settled in the living room, resembling a strange therapy session. Thomas and Sophia on the couch, their closeness apparent even in this tense situation. Alex and I in separate chairs facing them. I poured 4 glasses of scotch from the fancy bottle Thomas had set aside for special occasions. I proposed a toast to honesty. Thomas seemed taken aback by my calm demeanor. He had expected a heated confrontation, but instead, I was cool and collected. "How long have you known?" he asked warily. "Long enough," I replied cryptically, without disclosing that it had only been 36 hours. I wanted him to think I had been gathering information for much longer, leaving him to speculate about what else I might be aware of. Alex had been playing his role perfectly so far. We had agreed that he would display righteous anger while I maintained a detached stance, good cop, bad cop. But both cops were the betrayed spouses. "Were you ever going to tell us?" Alex demanded, "or were we just supposed to live in ignorance forever?" Sophia couldn't meet his eyes. "I don't know," she whispered. "I kept telling myself it would end, but it didn't," I observed. "In fact, it escalated, weekend getaways, plans for the future." Thomas flinched at this. "Bullseye, you've been talking about a future together." I continued, watching his face. "Haven't you?" His silence was confirmation enough. What they didn't realize was that while waiting for them to arrive, Alex and I had discovered something extraordinary. We liked each other, not romantically, but as humans. We formed a bond in our shared trauma. We'd also discovered we were both extremely strategic thinkers. During those waiting hours, we moved beyond our initial plan of simple confrontation to something more sophisticated. We weren't just exposing the affair, we were reclaiming our power. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, setting down my untouched cup. "Scotch, Thomas, you are faced with a decision tonight. Before you proceed, there are important details to consider." I took out a folder from my bag which contained prints of their text messages, credit card statements, and photos that Alex had found on Sophia's cloud storage. Though not explicit, the contents were revealing of their close relationship. I revealed that I had a meeting with Patricia Carlton, the managing partner at our law firm, causing Thomas to become pale. Patricia was in a position of power at the firm where both Thomas and I were employed, and Thomas was on track to become a senior partner soon. I explained that Patricia and I had discussed hypothetical scenarios related to workplace ethics, such as the complications that could arise if a senior associate was caught engaging in a relationship with a pharmaceutical representative whose company had active cases with the firm. We delved into the potential conflicts of interest and ethical violations that could ensue. "You wouldn't?" Thomas gasped in disbelief. "I haven't done anything yet," I corrected. "I am simply exploring my options for now." Alex smoothly joined the conversation, highlighting that Sophia Mercer Pharmaceuticals had a strict non-fraternization policy in place, building client relationships. Thomas's firm represents 3 of Mercer's biggest clients. The blood drained from Sophia's face. "How did you?" "I'm on the ethics board at my architectural firm," Alex explained. "I know how these policies work. I also know your regional director, David. We play squash on Wednesdays." It wasn't true. They'd met once at a charity event, but Sophia didn't know that. This was the genius of our plan. We weren't threatening them outright. We were simply informing them of realities they'd ignored while wrapped up in passion. Consequences existed regardless of our actions. I leaned forward. "Here's what I find interesting, Thomas. When I lost our baby in this very house, you couldn't bear to comfort me. You said you needed space to process your grief. Was Sophia your processing? Was she your comfort while I cried myself to sleep alone for the first time?" Sophia looked truly shocked. She turned to Thomas. "You never told me about a baby." The air between them crackled with a new tension, the first crack. In their unified facade, Alex noted there are many undisclosed aspects about each other. Both Thomas and Sophia have concealed much, not only from us but also from one another. Our most profound realization has been that relationships are often based on pretense. Thomas and Sophia have been presenting their curated versions to each other, withholding the raw, unedited truths. We just needed to reveal the truth behind the facade. I whispered to Thomas. Have you shared with Sophia about your gambling addiction in law school, which your parents had to rescue you from? The reason why we maintained separate finances for over a decade. Sophia's eyes widened, and Alex interjected. Does Thomas know about your brother being in rehab? Our inability to renovate the kitchen last year was due to covering Jackson's treatment costs. Thomas looked uneasy. Is this some sort of attack on our characters? He questioned. No, I responded calmly. This is reality. The messy, intricate reality that both of you avoided for a fantasy. Our intention was not to inflict pain for the sake of it. We sought to shed light on the truth buried beneath the facade. In our discussions, I noticed that Thomas and Sophia had both portrayed their partners as lacking in some way, using this as justification for their affair. This contrasted with our perspective. Both of you painted idealized versions of each other, Alex, but true, lasting relationships are not based on idealizations. They are based on accepting someone's imperfections and loving them unconditionally. I got up and walked over to the window, staring out into the dark night that had covered the ocean. We are not here to dictate your futures. We are here to reclaim our own self-respect. Thomas stood up as well, approaching me cautiously. Kim, can we talk privately now? He asked. I turned to him firmly. No, Thomas. Whatever you have to say, say it in front of everyone. That's the purpose of this gathering. No more secrets, no more hiding parts of ourselves. As I looked into his eyes, I sensed a shift in his demeanor, a realization that our dynamic had undergone a fundamental transformation. I was no longer the reactive, vulnerable wife he could manipulate. I had become a stronger, a force to be reckoned with. What happened next would determine the course of 4 lives. But regardless of their choices, Alex and I had already won. We'd refused to be passive victims. We'd seized control of a narrative that had excluded us. We'd forced reality into a fantasy. As we stood there at the crossroads, I felt strangely calm. Whatever happened, I would survive it. I caught Alex and I across the room, and he gave me the slightest nod of solidarity. The night was just beginning. I want a divorce. The words hung in the air. They hadn't come from me. They'd come from Sophia. Thomas stared at her in disbelief. What, Sophia? You can't be serious. After everything. What, Thomas? She interrupted suddenly, finding her voice. Everything we've risked, everything we've thrown away. Look at them. She gestured toward Alex and me. Look at what we've done to them. This was an unexpected development. Alex and I exchanged glances. Our plan had anticipated anger, denial, perhaps even continued deception, but not this. Suddenly, a rush of guilt swept over Sophia. You told me your marriage was basically over. She confronted Thomas, her voice weighted with hurt. You said Kimberly was aloof, too focused on her career, and that you were just biding your time until you could leave. I felt it like a physical blow. Is that how you painted me? Cold, career-driven, when all I did was support your ambitions for years, rearrange my life around your needs, and desperately try to start a family you claimed to want. The tears flowed freely as she turned to Alex, her voice trembling with emotion. I convinced myself that you didn't love me anymore, that you were just going through the motions. It was easier to believe that I was the issue. Alex's facade crumbled as he exclaimed, How could you even think that? I built our home with your happiness in mind. I arranged romantic getaways, tried to discuss starting a family, but you postponed it because you were unsure, confused. Something was missing, and I couldn't figure out what. Thomas tentatively moved towards Sophia, but she recoiled, shaking her head. Don't, please, just don't, she whispered, her heart heavy with regret. Turning to me, Thomas said, I'm sorry, Kimberly. I know that may not mean much, but I truly apologize. A heavy silence settled over us, diverging sharply from the anticipated script. The envisioned resolution Alex and I had planned, revealing the affair, presenting our proof, witnessing their downfall, was unraveling into a more complex human reality. Thomas slumped onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. I never intended for any of this to unfold like this, he confessed. Yet in response, I confronted him calmly. You made countless deliberate choices that led to this outcome. You deceived me, manipulated me, and gaslit me. You used our shared pain as a justification for your betrayal when I questioned your late nights and mysterious expenses. Thomas lifted his gaze, his eyes brimming with tears. After we lost the baby, something inside me shattered, Kim. I couldn't be the husband you deserved. Sophia was a temporary escape. An escape, I echoed. While I was drowning in grief, you sought refuge elsewhere. In the background, Alex poured himself another drink, observing quietly. So what happens next? Where do we go from here? I inquired, feeling the weight of uncertainty hanging in the air. And then, in that tense moment, Thomas dropped the unexpected sentence. Con bombshell. Sophia's pregnant. The world tilted beneath my feet. I grabbed the back of a chair to steady myself. What? Alex's voice was barely audible. Sophia closed her eyes, tears streaming. 8 weeks? I just found out last week. The cruelty of it was breathtaking. After years of trying after the devastating loss in this very house, Thomas had casually, accidentally, created a child with someone else. Is it? Is it mine? Alex asked, his voice breaking. Sophia nodded. It has to be. Thomas and I have always been careful. Another twist, another recalibration. The child wasn't Thomas's, but did that make it better or worse? Thomas looked genuinely shocked. You didn't tell me you were pregnant. I was going to tell you this weekend, she said. I needed to figure out what I wanted to do. I found myself watching this exchange with a strange detachment, as if observing characters in a film. The betrayal had transcended my personal pain and become something almost anthropologically interesting. The complex web of lives, percussions, and human weaknesses. Imagine planning to disclose to your partner that you are expecting a child from your husband while on a romantic getaway at my beach house. The situation is as ironic as it is dramatic. Alex finished his drink as the tension in the room grew palpable. You had expressed a desire for children for years. It always put off the idea, all the while being unfaithful. It felt like we were all entangled in a web of hurt and confusion. Just then, my phone interrupted the heavy silence, jolting us back to reality. Seeing the caller ID, disbelief washed over me. It's Patricia, I informed Thomas, the partner you dreaded disappointing, before stepping into the kitchen for some privacy. The ensuing conversation was brief but significant. Upon rejoining the group, I could feel their curious gazes on me. It was Patricia confirming our breakfast meeting tomorrow, I clarified. She mentioned staying at her place nearby to discuss a new development in the Mercer Pharmaceuticals case. Certainly. Of course, we were both ready. Thomas paled at the realization. Both? He inquired. Yes, I confirmed. By chance, we were both at our beach house this weekend. She suggested we rendezvous at the shore at 9 o'clock a.m., all three of us. Sophia slumped into a chair, voicing her fears. This is really happening, isn't it? Our lives are unraveling before our eyes. Offering an understanding glance, I reassured her, lives don't disintegrate all at once, Sophia. They deteriorate choice by choice, but they can also be reconstructed the same way. Acting in solidarity, Alex took his place beside me. Kimberly and I have made decisions today. We choose not to be casualties in your story. Perplexed, Thomas inquired, what does that mean? Meeting his gaze firmly, I responded, it means I have transferred half our assets to accounts beyond your reach. It means I have meticulously documented every detail of your affair, along with the misappropriation of company resources to facilitate it. It means I am ready to petition for divorce on grounds of infidelity with substantial evidence. His face twisted in disbelief. You orchestrated this entire. I am not enjoying this, Thomas, I said quietly. I refuse to be a victim in my own story. I turned to Sophia. As for your pregnancy, that's between you and Alex. But whatever you decide, I suggest you both get tested for STIs immediately. Given the casual approach to fidelity in this room, it's just good healthcare. My statement landed with clinical precision, causing both Thomas and Sophia to flinch. Alex cleared his throat. Sophia, I'll be staying at my brother's tonight. Take some time to decide what you want, real clarity, not just a reaction. I'll call you tomorrow. Turning to Thomas, I continued, you can have the beach house tonight. I won't be staying, and neither will Alex. We've booked rooms at the Harborview Hotel. Thomas looked confused. We're staying at a hotel together, adjacent rooms? I clarified. We become something you might not recognize, friends bound by shared experience. We're having dinner together and planning our next steps. Next steps, Thomas echoed as I nodded. Continuing, Thomas declared after a brief pause. With or without you, that's my decision to make. As Alex and I prepared to depart, Sophia halted me, grasping my arm gently. Just so you know, Shu Gan, he spoke of you often. Even when he criticized, there was always the hint of admiration. I believe he still cares for you. Disentangling myself from her touch, that's the tragic part, isn't it? Love alone is insufficient. Trust, respect, and honesty. Those are the building blocks. Love without them is akin to a stunning house constructed upon sand. Leaving them amidst the aftermath of their choices, Alex and I strolled down the beach path towards our vehicles, the soothing sound of waves in the background. Well, he eventually remarked, that didn't go as planned. I chuckled, a genuine display of amusement. No, it certainly did not. Are you okay about the baby? He gazed out at the dark sea. I'm not sure. Part of me is upset, while another part still yearns for the family we envision. Offering reassurance, I said, you don't need to decide tonight. Neither do I. He mentioned Thomas, and I silently acknowledged his understanding. As we stood by our cars, two individuals brought together by unusual circumstances, he proposed dinner. I agreed, feeling that we both deserved it. Whether 6 months could alter everything or leave things the same was uncertain. In my case, it transformed nearly every aspect of my life. Thomas and I went through a relatively smooth divorce devoid of dramatic courtroom confrontations or heated arguments. Once our marriage was exposed to the light of day, it dissolved efficiently. The evidence I had gathered led to a settlement that greatly favored me, and Thomas did not put up a fight. Perhaps his own guilt served as his punishment. He managed to keep his job, but missed out on the senior partner promotion. Patricia, while disappointed, remained pragmatic, stating that the firm had endured worse scandals. She did express she expected more from him. Sophia and Alex's journey took a different route. Following the period of separation and counseling, they opted to give their relationship another chance, with clear boundaries and honest communication. The pregnancy added an additional layer of complexity. The couple's daughter was born last month, and in a photograph, Alex expressed gratitude for new beginnings. Thomas and Sophia put an end to their affair after being confronted, and now find it difficult to even look at each other during industry events. The harsh realities of life often shatter romantic fantasies. I decided to sell my portion of the beach house to Thomas due to the overwhelming memories associated with it. Instead, I purchased a charming cottage on the coast with a breathtaking view of the Atlantic, a peaceful retreat solely mine. Taking things slowly, I have cautiously re entered the dating scene and am now more attentive to warning signs I used to overlook. I've come to understand that the emptiness within a marriage is far more destructive than solitary independence. Alex and I still maintain a friendship, meeting occasionally for coffee or dinner. We acknowledge that bonding over trauma is not a solid foundation for love, but a genuine friendship has blossomed from our shared past. Sometimes I hold her and feel a complex mix of emotions, but never resentment. She's innocent in all of this. Last week, I ran into Thomas at a colleague's retirement party, the first time we'd seen each other socially since the divorce finalized. He looked older, subdued. You look well, he said, his eyes searching my face for something, regret perhaps, lingering hurt. I am well, I replied, surprised to find it was true. Kim, I've wanted to say, he began. You don't need to, I interrupted gently. We've both said everything that matters. He nodded, accepting this boundary. Are you seeing anyone? He asked, then immediately backtracked. Sorry, that's not my business anymore. It's okay, I said. Yes, I've been seeing someone for a few months. It's new but good, simple, honest. Pain flashed across his face, quickly masked. I'm glad. You deserve that. As we parted ways, he turned back. I've been in therapy, working through why I did what I did. It wasn't you, Kim. It was never you. I know, I said. And I did know, Lily, his betrayal was his character flaw, not my failure. Walking away, I felt the last weight lift from my shoulders. Some people enter our lives as permanent fixtures, others as painful lessons. Thomas had transformed from one into the other. That night at the beach house changed four lives irrevocably. It ended one chapter and began another. But standing here now, watching waves crash against my cliff, I'm grateful for that terrible night, for the strength I found, for the woman who emerged from the wreckage. The truth can devastate, but it also liberates. My new home has large windows that face the sunrise. Every morning, light floods in, illuminating everything. No shadows, no hidden quarters, just clarity. Beautiful, painful clarity. And in that clear light, I finally recognize myself.